Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. My name is Caitlin from Florals.com and I am back with another episode of the Falling Back to Basics series. Now if you guys have tuned in, you'll know that we're learning about mixing and matching patterns, and now we're actually transitioning into a new subject. Although still mixing and matching patterns, we are now focusing on more of the embellishing side of layouts, so making those clusters and how to do so on a layout. Now, I didn't originally intend on using a kit for this page, but I had some homemade scrapbook kits that were lying around. I was kind of short on time to film this video, so I thought it'd be a good option to pick one of these and go with it. Now in this kit, I actually have an index card off in the top left. I know it's a little bit washed out, so it's hard to see, but I had a sketch I had drawn out, and then some ideas for titles, and then some other elements I might want to add, like washi tape or something to this kit to make it really work well. So I've only sped up the process 2 times speed, so that way you guys still get a full look. That this layout took me about 45 minutes to do. But like I said, making the kit and stuff was done before, a couple months ago actually. I might have a video making these kits somewhere. I'm not sure what month that was a part of, but I did make a bunch of page kits. They sit near my paper pads and I pull from them occasionally. Recently I went through those and actually added photos in with them. So I could just sit down and scrap something quick if I really needed to. This was one of those days I didn't want to mess around with pulling out stuff. I just wanted something simple. So I take my idea of my sketch, which is stacking the 2 photos on the left-hand side with some paper layers, and then doing a tag and an embellishment cluster off to the right of that bottom photo, and then balancing it with some stuff on the left-hand side. So when it comes to embellishment clusters and doing them yourself, and really trying to figure out what to layer together so it looks nice and so it fills out the layout well, I would recommend starting with one set of embellishments that you think go well with your pattern papers. So I think that this item particularly are these wood veneer chips that I pulled out. These were put in my kit, but they're from Momenta. They're a little bit of an older product, but I think I got them at Hobby Lobby. And then here I start mixing in some other things based off of my sketch. So if you guys have a sketch that has a couple embellishment clusters, just note the placement of those in comparison to the photos, and essentially that's what you're scrap lifting. You're just coming up with the idea of what to put in those spaces so that it looks balanced and it looks pleasing to the eye. Now balance can come in all sorts of ways. I know that Nicole Jones does like the large, medium, and small cluster method. I know that Janet RTS likes to do the rule of 3s generally. But she also has so many other great ideas. So check out both of those ladies. I can't recommend them enough because I think they just have so many great ideas when it comes to making layouts. But as you can see here, when I start making my clusters, I started with those wood veneers. And then taking inspiration from my sketch, I built out the cluster in the bottom right first. It didn't have a lot of direction in terms of the embellishment clusters that I'm going to put in the other 2 sections, but I picked those placements based off of white space in my layout currently, and based on visual triangle concept, which is simply putting the design elements of a page as resting points on a layout, breathing points for the eye to sit, take in something, wait a second, take something in, and purposefully putting them in a triangular pattern so that it really draws the center of attention to whatever's in the center of that triangle. And in this case, it would be the 2 photos would be in between the centers there. So here I'm pointing out that I want to pull in a washi tape that needs to be that light blue tone. Originally I was kind of hoping for that mustard tone, but I don't really have any washi tape that color. I have yellows, just not that particular yellow-green. But I still seem to make it work by pulling out this pretty, it's so pretty, this little minty blue color. And I'm still not sure, it's just like a baby blue, but the one I pull out's a little mintier, especially when I layer it on top of that green, and it's just speckled pattern, so nothing too crazy. But I wanted another pop of color on the left-hand side, and that's a thin one, but it still gives the same effect. So once that is down, I think I'm going to start layering things together, and we need to start gluing them down before we get too out of hand, but this isn't the case this time. So as I start to pull everything off, even though I've put so much on here, I start gluing it down. Now the red doily is not a perfect match, but we are bringing in colors from the pattern paper that have inspired our clusters. Now this is the way I work. Sometimes you can work backwards if you have an embellishments you want to use. You can pull in pattern papers that match the embellishments. It can go either way. Really up to you, really dependent on what you like to do and your process and what inspires you to make a page. You can pull colors from your photos. These are relatively neutral photos, a little bit of green, but a lot of gray, a lot of white. So I decided to go with a color scheme based off of a pattern paper that fits well with the photos. I pulled in 6x6 papers that match that color scheme. These ones happen to be from the A Dog's Tale collection, really, really cute collection. And those colors fit very well. I used only 2 of the 6x6, which is perfectly fine. Even though I included more in my kit, it doesn't mean I have to use all of them. And then I pulled in stuff that was not originally in my kit. I pulled in those Fancy Pants Colorful Life embellishments. I think it's just an embellishment pack, a die cut pack. It might be a labels pack though. I'm not 100% sure if they did multiple for that collection. I pulled in a random tag that we had in the kit. That Lawn Fawn Twine was in my kit. But here it's just starting to come together. Now, obviously, as you guys have seen so far, I don't have a plan for the other 2 clusters. They're just going to be there for now, and all that's in them is that wood veneer. But that's a great starting point. As long as you have something that is repeated on your page, generally it's in 3 different spots. It could be a color, it could be a texture, it could be an element like a heart, like an icon. It could be anything. It could be 3 like squares that are completely different colors, and that could still work very well as a visual triangle. It doesn't have to be too complicated. So just think of it simply as repetitive elements on purpose to draw your eye around the page. And it might not always seem like it's on purpose, but if you find something looks good to you, it's generally because it's aesthetically pleasing for a reason. Sometimes it's harder to justify those reasons, but just keep going with your flow and you'll soon find your scrapbooking style. So I was really determined to use all 5 of these wood veneer pieces that I included in this kit because they're so unique. They're a different sort of color than normal wood veneer, and they're all matching in embossing. The gold embossing all matches, the red color matches, and the green accent color matches really, really well. Now here's where I start to pull in elements from my November How to Kill a Kit with Style. If you guys have not seen those videos, I'll have that playlist as well as my Falling Back to Basics series playlist linked down below so you guys don't miss out on any of those videos. And don't forget, if you're subscribed, you'll be able to also click the bell if you want notifications for every time I upload, just in case you want to be sure that you don't miss anything. But here's where I start pulling in those elements. This is a Fancy Pants sticker set. I think the We Are Family collection, maybe, I think that's this one. I took it out of the packaging, so I'm not 100% sure. But then I start pulling in this mustard color, which isn't exact to the same yellow in the background, but it emanates the same feeling as that. It's like this deeper yellow tone. So I really like that and brought that in. I pull in some different heart elements via that. Now on my index card with this kit that I wrote my notes down on, I said I should bring in travel stamps. Now here are some travel stamps from Heidi Swap. Originally I thought I was going to put these in at the end, but as I finished the layout I realized there weren't any great spots to stamp anything. So I could have incorporated these then before I got crazy with my other embellishments, but I'm really happy with how it turned out and it's okay that I didn't stamp. It's a little bit too busy of a background on that feather pattern to bring in some stamps, and this green's a little bit too dark to be stamping on in general anyway. Here from my kit I also bring in these freckled fawn stickers. Now these are ones I've barely used. They're one of their autumn kits, I believe. I bought these during one of their sales. Really, really love this deep red color. Again, it's not an exact match to the background paper, but it does match the wood embellishments pretty well with that brighter red tone. So I pull out an arrow and a label. Now, this is a perfect example. I pulled off 3 stickers from that sticker sheet that have the same vibe. They have a label sort of fashion to them. So that's 3 labels, and each one went into a different piece of the cluster, or each label went into a different cluster. So that's perfect. That's what we wanted. I also have a puffy sticker from that Fancy Pants collection earlier in each section of the clusters. And guys, it's just, I promise it comes together when you think about it simply in one version. So either 3 things from Freckled Fawn, 3 labels from somewhere, 3 stickers from a pack, 3 puffy stickers in general, not from the same pack, just 3 puffy stickers, because guess who uses a lot of puffy stickers? Me, this person. I pull out these Jen Hadfield ones, I pull out an arrow, and then the little red bus. I believe we did see a red bus when we were around Kingston, and again, these photos are Kingston in case you didn't read them yet, because we went up to Canada, that must have been 2 summers ago now. Really, really fun trip to Canada. So fun. But here we are. The clusters are coming together. I'm starting to look through my stash. I have my Freckled Fawn words out. I don't end up using those. I've used those on the last 2 layouts, so I kind of opted not to use them, but they definitely could have worked. But we have color in each of the clusters. We have texture in each of the clusters that match. We have elements like labels, puffy stickers, wood veneer, color, texture. We even have round in each of the clusters. That flower in the top one's round, the doily in the bottom one's round, and then the far left, the wood veneer's round. There's infinite ways, I promise, to make embellishment clusters seem more cohesive. And if you think about them in these simpler elements, in terms of color, in terms of texture, in terms of design, like icon, hearts, stars, arrows, those kind of motifs, can really help drive a layout. Now here we could have done 3 feathers. I only have 1 on this one in the bottom right, and then there's feathers in the background, but there's not feathers in the other 2 clusters. But we could have put them there, and that would have served its purpose as well. Here I'm going to add a little bit more of that light blue color with this Illustrated Faith sticker book. I really love this sticker book. I wish it wasn't as faith-oriented, which I know that's the purpose of the Illustrated Faith products, is they're made for Bible journaling and faith journaling and all of that, but sometimes I wish they made their cute stuff without such specific things on it that I find a little bit harder to use on certain pages. I grabbed one of those light blue tabs and I'm going to put that at the top there, and then we have light blue stickers in each of the clusters. And I actually decided to do an overview of this at the end with you guys to really go over how I pulled this all together and such. So you'll be hearing from me before this video is over again in more real time. But I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up and be sure to tell me what you want to see next. Obviously, Falling Back to Basics is coming to an end very, very soon, but that doesn't mean we can't go out with a bang. So let me know what episodes you want to see. I think we have 5 or 6 episodes left, if I can fit them all in, that is. We have a lot going on here at the end of the month, but we're halfway through November, and there's a ton more fun to come. But here I am just gluing everything down. A lot of these things need extra adhesive to make sure they stay, especially the puffy stickers and those flexible elements. And my wood veneer that I had on that wax paper would not come off. It was a little bit of a pain. That was one of the first times I've left something on wax paper for so long. So I think I'm going to stop doing that because it's a little bit of a pain in general, trying to rip those off. But I'm really happy with how the layout came out, and I hope you guys enjoyed this sort of semi-real-time process, semi-sped-up process. But thank you guys so much for watching, and now on to the overview. So here is the completed layout. I do apologize that it was not a real-time process video where we go through the clusters together, but I thought it'd be nice to do that at the end of this video because I want you guys to still understand my thought process, even though I explained it a little bit here. I just wanted to go over things now just so you guys could, really get the concept here of how I managed to build these out. So first thing a lot of people think about when trying to do clusters is visual triangles, and that's putting your decorative elements around your photos in a triangular format. So your 3 points would connect to make a triangle. And when you're doing something like that, you often want to think about repeating things like color or shapes or elements, so like wood or vellum or enamel, something like that that's in all 3 of the clusters. But you could also do so many other things. It doesn't have to be this way. This just happens to be how this example worked out. I actually drew myself a little bit of a sketch here on how it should have gone. It's a little bit different than the one I ended up with. I originally was supposed to use this green for strips at the top and the bottom. This one was the feather paper. And this was a pre-made kit I had from months and months ago. I actually think I filmed making these kits, so you guys can probably find that on my channel. I did say I had to include washi and travel stamps. Now I did pull out some travel stamps, but I ended up not stamping because this background's so busy I don't want to stamp on it, and this is so dark that I don't want to stamp on it. So we avoided the stamps, and it says blue splatters. I can't find my blue, it's like this light blue color, Heidi Swap Color Shine. I think it's in a kit right now, but I do plan on doing that later on as well. But back to the clusters, once you figure out what the element you wanted to repeat, which in this kit I had a ton of these wood veneer pieces from a set, so I pulled those out, and those were the elements I really emphasized in all of my clusters. Then as we went on, I added and pulled more things from my stash. Another thing that you can find in all 3 clusters are these yellow puffy stickers. Each one has a different puffy, so that's fun. Another element is the Illustrated Faith teal here. So this one has 2, this one has a big one and a little one, this one has 3 medium-sized ones. So I guess the real question is, and the problem that most of you might be facing is, how do you realize when to stop? How do you know where to put where and which one? Because obviously they're going to be pretty similar if you follow these sort of rules. So one tip, I think it's Nicole Jones who emphasizes it the most, is to do one large, one medium, and one small cluster. Maybe this one's my medium one. It's really up to interpretation. But that's sort of how I did it. Based on my sketch, I knew I had a large cluster over here. It would have some lines for journaling. I knew I'd have a cluster up here. Originally it was supposed to be the title up here, but I ended up sticking it here instead because it helps fill out this cluster a bit more. And then this little one down here, again, I have a label. This is like where I'd probably put a date or maybe the location, something that's just a little snippet. And I think what I really, really like about this layout in particular and how it turned out, because at first I didn't like it. As soon as I laid just like these wood veneer down up here, I was like, I'm struggling with it. And what I did was just kept looking through my stash, looking for my color scheme. So I was looking for this dark green, this red, this mustardy yellow, or this minty blue. 4 colors, that's all I was looking for. I was also looking for directional pieces. I knew I wanted something horizontal here under this piece to help make it look a little bit longer and not just a circle shape. And then for these ones, I was looking for something to make it taller. I wasn't sure if the tallness would go above it or below it. Ended up going below it, but you guys saw me mess around with it a little bit when it was above too. So I hope you guys did enjoy this process video. We can do more stuff like this. I'll actually do another poll over on my community tab on YouTube where you guys can vote on the next episode of Falling Back to Basics, because we're running out of time here. There's only a few episodes left. And if you guys want to keep seeing these, maybe a real-time one if I can fit it in. But I've been really, really enjoying the Falling Back to Basics series, as you guys know, and I know you guys have been enjoying it because you always comment such wonderful things and such wonderful ideas as well, so thank you guys. But that's it for today's video, guys, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!